Night was getting late, but Istanbul was not sleeping. The fog over the Bosphorus was no longer a curtain. It was an invitation. The water looked calm, too calm. Darian stopped in the narrow streets of Galata. He knew that if he took one more step, there would be no way back. He put his hand on the wall. The stone was cold, but the darkness inside him was warm. "You are here," he said to himself. "I can feel it." Lucian was behind him, silent, tense. "This feeling," Lucian said, "is it pulling her to you or pulling you to her?" Darian did not answer, because the answer came from his chest. A pull, a call, not a sound, a vibration. Selene's vibration. At the same time, under the water, Selene opened her eyes. This time, it was not dark. Stone columns stood around her. It looked like the basilica cistern, but it was not the same. It was older, deeper. The water did not stay still here. It moved, slowly. Selene stood up. There was ground under her feet, wet stone. "This place," she whispered, "is it a shelter?" There was no answer. But the water moved. A shape separated from between the columns. It was not human, not a vampire. It had no voice, but its presence was heavy. Selene stepped back. "Did you call me?" she asked. The water rose. Then it took a form. A face appeared. Not a woman, not a man. It felt like time itself. "We did not call you," the voice said. "We waited for you." Selene stopped breathing for a moment. "I was sealed." "The seal is broken," the being said. "Because you are broken." Selene clenched her teeth. "I lost control." The water moved gently. "No," the voice said. "For the first time, you made a choice." Above, Darian suddenly stopped. The stone under his feet trembled. Lucian stepped back. "I felt it too." Darian's eyes darkened. But this was not anger. It was fear. "She is not alone," Darian said, "and she is not hiding anymore." A wave rose from the Bosphorus. It did not hit the shore. It only changed direction. From Galata, it drew a path toward the deep. Lucian whispered, "This is a sign." Darian shook his head. "No." He took a step forward. "This is an invitation." Selene looked at her hands. There was no blood, but there were marks. Thin, glowing lines in the water, like veins. "What am I becoming?" she asked. The being came closer. "You remember," it said. "The sea did not choose you. You remembered the sea." Selene's eyes widened. An image passed through her mind. A city, not Istanbul yet. Stone walls, and a woman sinking into the water. Her own face. She was not screaming. She was making an oath. Selene stumbled. "Is that me?" "Not yet," the voice said. "But you will be." When Darian reached the edge of the Bosphorus, the night was divided in two. One side was the city, the other side was the water. He reached his hand toward the water. The water did not pull away. It recognized him. Lucian held his breath. "Darian, this may not be a good sign." Darian looked into the water. "I am not looking for something good," he said. "I am looking for her." And the water, for the first time, opened a path for Darian. The water did not pull her down. It reminded her. When the stones around Selene began to shake, she was no longer in a place. She was in a time. She closed her eyes. And when she opened them, the sky was red. A city, not yet called Istanbul, stood between the sea and blood. The walls were new. The people were young. The gods were still resting. Selene was not human, but she was not a vampire either. In those days, they called her a guardian. She was born at the edge of the sea. Her mother was a woman who whispered to water. Her father was a man who could calm the waves. But Selene was different even from them, because the sea answered her. Young Selene stood in the water up to her knees. When she opened her hands, the waves moved back. "You should not do this," an old man said behind her. His hair was like salt. His eyes had seen many things. "They are coming," Selene said. "I can feel it." The man shook his head. "The sea makes you feel everything, but not every feeling is an order." Selene turned to him. "What if it is an order?" At that moment, ships appeared on the horizon. Black sails, silent oars. Hunters. But these hunters were not human. They were the first hunters. They did not feed on blood, but on oaths. and they wanted Selene's power. When night fell, the city was burning. Selene was kneeling inside the stone temple. There was no blood on her hands, but outside there were screams. "You can stop them," the old man said. "The sea listens to you." Selene lifted her head. Her eyes were full of tears. "It listens," she said, "and it wants me." The man said nothing, because this was not a gift, it was a price. The room under the temple opened. The water did not enter, it waited. In the center there was a circle. Symbols were carved into the stone: protection, binding, silence. Selene stepped into the circle. "If I do this," she said, "I will not be myself anymore." The old man lowered his head. "No, but everyone will forget you." Selene closed her eyes. "I do not want to be remembered," she said. "I just want the sea to be calm." And she made the oath. The sea rose, but it did not swallow the city. The hunter ships were destroyed. The waves did not kill them, they erased them. Their names, their oaths, their purpose. Selene fell to her knees. And then the water took her, but it did not drown her. It sealed her. Time passed, cities changed, beliefs fell. Selene woke up, but incomplete, without memories, bound. And when vampires found her, they turned her into something else. But the sea did not forget. Now, between the columns under the water, Selene was trembling. "Did I do this?" she asked. The ancient voice answered, "Yes. And that is why we locked you." Selene lifted her head. "Then why now?" The water grew dark. "Because Darian is awakening, and the hunters are swearing again." Tears filled Selene's eyes. "I was a guardian," she said, "not a monster." The water became silent. Then it left one sentence: "Guardians spill the most blood." And far away, Darian took his first step into the water. Selene felt him. The past was complete, but the price was not paid yet. When Darian stepped into the water, the Bosphorus did not reject him. There was no cold, no weight. It was as if the sea was waiting for him. He took another step. When the water reached his ankles, his heart beat faster. This feeling, it was the same as Selene's. He closed his eyes, and the sea showed him. The first image was a scream. A young girl, Selene, was kneeling inside a stone temple, but she was not a vampire. Her eyes were not dark, they were deep. Darian held his breath. "This is before," he whispered, "before everything." The sea did not answer. It only went deeper. Fire, burned houses, bodies on the shore. But Selene's hands were clean. She did not start the destruction. She was the price of it. But Selene's hands were clean. She did not start the destruction. She was the price of it. Then came the oath, the stone circle, the symbols, the silence. Darian clenched his fists. The darkness in his veins moved. "She could not carry this alone," he said. "No one could." When Selene stepped into the circle, Darian moved forward without thinking. "Stop!" he shouted. But it was a memory. It could not change. Selene's voice echoed, "Forget me, but let the sea stay calm." Something inside Darian broke. This was a sacrifice, and no one had prayed for her. The sea was not obeying her. The sea was using her. "This is not fair," Darian said through his teeth. "It never was." Time moved on. Centuries passed like one breath. Selene waking up, without memories. Weak. Vampires. Blood. Transformation. Darian turned his head away. "They did not save her," he said. "They tore her away from the seal." The water darkened, and a voice rose, deep, ancient, neutral. "You will tear her away too." Darian lifted his head. "No," he said, "I will remind her." In the last image, Selene was there, the Selene of now. She was kneeling under the water, crying. Her tears did not fall. The sea did not accept them. Darian knelt down. The water reached his chest. He placed his hand over his heart. "You are not alone," he said. "They forgot you, but He stopped, because Selene lifted her head and looked at him. This was not a memory. This was a bond. Selene's voice came from the water. "Darian, if you remember me..." Darian did not hesitate. "I will remind you," he said, "even against the world." The sea pulled back. But the bond did not break. Far away, very far away, something cracked. The hunter's oaths began to shake, because not only Selene had awakened, Darian had seen, and someone who has seen once can never be blind again. A trace. Darian's trace. The vibration from the moment he touched the water was still there, like an echo, like a wound. Selene lifted her head. "You saw me," she said. Her voice shook in the darkness. "Didn't you?" This was not a question. It was a call. And for the first time, Selene pushed her power outward, not by forcing, not by commanding, by remembering. When Darian stood by the Bosphorus, the night was heavy. The water was calm, but this calm was a false silence. Lucian stood a few steps behind him. "There is something here," he said. "You feel it too, don't you?" Darian did not answer, because at that moment, in the center of his chest, a sharp pain appeared, like a touch, but not physical, a call. Darian held his breath. "Selene," he whispered. The water moved. A few meters from the shore, the surface sank inward, as if someone had opened an invisible door. Lucian stepped back. "Darian, this—" But Darian had already stepped forward. The water did not pull him in, it opened. When Selene opened her eyes, she saw him. Darian was standing in the water, but he was not sinking. He was not swimming. It was as if the sea had accepted him as a guest. Selene stood up. Her hands shook as she lowered them. "Don't come closer," she said. Her voice broke. "If you do—" "Stop," Darian said. One word, but heavy. He took a step. The water opened a path for him. "You called me," he said, "and I came." Selene's eyes filled, but again, the tears did not fall. "I can't control this," she said. "The sea listens to me, but it doesn't understand me." Darian took another step. The distance between them closed. "No," he said. "The sea understands you." Selene shook her head. "No, if it understood—" She stopped, because Darian reached out his hand. The water froze. The current stopped. For the first time, the sea hesitated. "Look at me," Darian said. "I saw what happened to you, what they turned you into, what you stayed silent for." Selene's lips trembled. "I am a disaster." Darian lowered his head. His eyes were level with hers. "No," he said, "you are a seal, and when seals break, the water overflows." There was a moment of silence. Then Selene whispered, "You can't take me out of here." Darian did not hesitate. "Of course I can't," he said. Selene flinched. "Because I won't take you by force," he continued. "Not until you are ready." The sea moved, restless. Selene looked at Darian, for the first time, not with fear, with hope. "But the hunters," she said. Darian's face hardened. "They will call me an enemy too." He took one more step. The water rose to his chest. "Let them." He did not place his hand on Selene's heart, but it was very close. "You called me," he said, "and this call is not one-sided." Selene took a deep breath. She did not need to breathe, but she did. The sea pulled back. For a moment, there were only the two of them, and in that moment, Selene understood. The sea was protecting her, but Darian was understanding her, and this was the one thing the sea could not control. Far away, a wave broke. The sea went back, but it did not leave. Selene and Darian stood in the water. Selene went down on her knees. This time the water did not carry her. It became hard under her, like glass. Darian's vision became unclear. The water turned dark. Suddenly, stone walls rose around them. It was the old place. Priests and hunters were around her, salt mixed with water. They drew a seal, fast, incomplete. They pushed Selene into the water. "I was not killed," Selene's voice said. "They hid me. I am its burden. But the sea saw me as trust. And trust must be protected." The water shook. "If I fully wake up," she said, "they cannot keep me here." Selene opened her eyes. Her look was clear. "No one," she said. "I will not leave you alone. I already come from darkness." Far away the hunter's bell rang, but in the deep something older answered. When the water took Darian inside, it did not drown him. It pulled him down, slowly. There were two of her. One Selene was kneeling, the other Selene was standing. Her eyes were deep, dark, and fully awake. "You are late," said the second Selene. "I am not that Selene." The kneeling Selene lifted her head. "Darian, don't go," she whispered. "I am," she said, "what she created to survive." You made her weak, she said, with love, with memories. The sea does not love mercy. The kneeling Selene sobbed. I wanted to be human, she said. That is why I was born. The standing Selene turned to Darian. And I, she said, was born to be a monster. She raised her hand. Chains, a stone room, a coffin sealed under the Bosphorus. Young Selene was screaming, but no one came. Then silence and water. How to wait, how not to forget, how not to forgive. The image closed. Darian took a breath. I can stop this, he said. I can save both of you. The second Selene stepped closer. You are wrong, she whispered. Only one of us will remain. Then, for the first time, she touched Darian's face. Her touch was not cold, but it had no mercy. And the choice, she said, will not be yours. The kneeling Selene screamed. Darian, wake up, this is not me. The water shook. The second Selene stepped back. She is calling you, she said. You love her. Then she looked at Darian one last time. This love, she said, will kill her. And the water pushed Darian back, upward, out of the darkness, silently. When Darian woke up, gasping for air, he was on the shore. Lucian was beside him. What did you see? Lucian asked. Darian looked at the sea. His hand was shaking. Inside Selene, he said, there is something older than me. He paused. And it, he said, knows me. The sea became calm, but now Darian knew. Saving Selene would not be about convincing her. He would have to choose. And the sea had already chosen which Selene it wanted to remain. The sea looked calm. This was what the Silent One feared the most. Prepare yourselves, he said. This silence does not belong to Selene. This moment belongs to us. This time the hunters did not spread out. Instead, for the first time, they came together. From Uskudar to Galata, old lines buried under the coast were opened, stone chambers from before the Ottoman time. And at the deepest point, the third seal, the Silent One knelt on the stone floor. The silver knife in his hand was not a weapon this time. It was a key. We will not kill Selene. That is no longer possible. Whispers rose in the council. What about Darian? Will we protect him too? The Silent One lifted his head. His eyes were angry. No, we will use him. At the same time, under the sea, Selene was kneeling, but this Selene was not the Selene Darian knew. Her eyes were calm, too calm. A voice rose from the water. They are coming. Selene lifted her head. I know. And behind her, the second Selene appeared. Her hair was darker. Her gaze was empty, but she was smiling. They always come, she said. And they are always late. Do not involve Darian, Selene said sharply. He is not part of this war. The second Selene stepped closer. The water under her feet darkened. You are wrong, she said. He has already passed the seal. He just does not know it yet. On the shore, Darian stopped for a moment. The bond in his chest pulled back for the first time. This was not Selene's call. This was a cut line. Lucien, he said, they are watching us. Lucien shook his head. No, they are preparing us. At that moment, a thin vibration passed through the sea, invisible but clear. The Silent One whispered, Begin. And along the Bosphorus, in 3 places at the same time, the moment Darian felt the call, he knew it was not Selene, but he walked anyway, because some bonds do not break with doubt. At the narrow part of the Bosphorus, there was an old pier. Its stones were covered with moss. Its iron rings were rusty, and there was a voice. Darian, Selene's voice, but incomplete, like an echo. Lucian grabbed his arm. This is a hook, he said. They are pulling you here. Darian pulled his arm away. I know. He kept walking. With every step, the ground became colder. The water rose to his ankles, but it was not Selene's water. This water did not listen. When he reached the pier, the stones suddenly collapsed. He jumped back, but it was too late. The ground opened. Darian fell into the darkness. The water did not swallow him. It did not hold him either. Below there was a stone room. Round, its walls were full of symbols, and in the center, the silver circle. Hunters stepped out of the darkness. The Silent One moved forward. Of course you came, he said. There was no need for Selene to call you. Darian stood up. He showed his teeth. You are in the wrong place. The Silent One shook his head. No, you are in the right place. on the wrong side. The circle began to glow. The darkness inside Darian suddenly became heavy. It felt like mud was flowing in his veins. "What is this?" he growled. "A memory trap," said the Silent One. "It was made from the mark Selene left on you." Darian froze. "What did you say?" The walls trembled. Water began to drip. And at that moment, Darian's mind broke apart. Images filled his vision. Selene's past. But this was not the past she told. A coffin, water, Selene's scream. A hand was pushing her under the water, and that hand was not human. The Silent One whispered, "When we sealed her, we used your blood, Darian." Darian's eyes widened. "You are not her key," he said. "You are the second half of the lock." The circle tightened. Darian fell to his knees, and for the first time he felt this. Selene could awaken without him, but he would pull Selene down with himself. The silver circle broke with a sound like a scream. The stone floor cracked, and the water entered the room for the first time with anger. It was taking back what was stolen. When the second Selene lowered her hand, time stopped for a moment. The hunter's eyes were open, but they could not see, because this place was no longer theirs. "You thought you chained me," she said. "No, you broke me into pieces." "No," she said calmly, "you broke me into pieces." "You hear her," she said inside, "because she is still there." And for the first time, the real Selene spoke. Darian fell to his knees. The pain in his chest was not only pain, it was guilt. "I became this to save him, but if you erase me, you will all die." "Enough," she said. The water trembled. The second Selene's shoulders tightened. Darian felt Selene's heart, then something else, deeper, older, and he understood. "This is a result." She reached out her hand to Darian. Water surrounded Darian. It separated him. "I will take her back," she said, "step by step, but with me." The second Selene was not an enemy. She was a price, and that price was already paid. To save Selene, he might need to stop her, and that was more frightening than anything else. Darian could not answer, because for the first time he understood this.